Don't watch the clock. Do what it does. Keep going. The success of education is not only on learning, but also evaluating the knowledge gained. Revise chapter 1 and 2, the evaluation question and answers. Today itself, read all the answers and write the assignment in your assignment notebook. In chapter 1, reproduction in organisms. The evaluation 1 mark answers are there in your book itself. The sixth question is, name an organism where cell division is itself a mode of reproduction. Name an organism where cell division is itself a mode of reproduction. It takes place only in the unicellular organisms like amoeba and vorticella. Amoeba and vorticella reproduced by cell division. Seventh one, name the phenomenon where the female gamete directly develops into a new organism with an avian example. So the phenomenon is the parthenogenesis. Because what is parthenogenesis? The development of egg without the act of fertilization, that is called as parthenogenesis. So in some organisms, the female gamete ovum is directly developed into a complete individual by the physical or chemical induction. So this is called parthenogenesis. So they are asking the avian example. Avian means birds. Example for this is turkey, chicken and pigeon. Eighth one, what is parthenogenesis? Give 2 examples from animals. What is or define parthenogenesis? The process of development of an egg into a complete individual without fertilization. That is called as parthenogenesis. I repeat, the process of development of an egg into a complete individual without fertilization is called as parthenogenesis. Fertilization means the egg do not fuse with the male gamete. Example, annelid and sea urchin eggs. Ninth question, which type of reproduction is effective? Asexual or sexual? Why? So sexual reproduction is more effective method of reproduction than the asexual method because sexual reproduction contributes to the evolution of species by adding variation in a population. So sexual reproduction is a effective method because sexual reproduction involves the fusion of male and female gamete. The fusion of male and female gamete produces a variation. So variation contributes more to the evolution. Variation is the raw material for evolution. So sexual reproduction is effective. And 10th one, the unicellular organisms which reproduce by binary fission are considered as immortal. Justify. Immortal means they won't die. So most of the unicellular organisms reproduced by cell division. The whole parent body act as a reproductive unit and disappear after new daughter cells are formed. A single cell organisms, it divides into 2. So the whole parent act as a reproductive unit. The whole parent converted into the daughter cells. Thus, there is no death of the unicellular organisms. Hence, they are considered as immortal. And 11th one, why is the offspring produced by asexual reproduction referred as clone? Why asexual reproduction is referred as clone? Because asexual reproduction involves single parent. So single individual can able to produce the offerings in asexual reproductions. So these offerings are genetically and morphologically similar to the parent. So they are similar to clone in all aspects. Thus, offerings produced by asexual reproduction are called clones. 12th one, why are the offerings of oviparous animal at a greater risk as compared to the offerings of the viviparous animals? Oviparous means egg laying. Viviparous means giving birth. So the oviparous animals laid the fertilized egg in the open environment without any protection. So they lay egg somewhere. So the development of zygote takes place outside the body of the mother. So mother only protects the baby or the offerings. So the development of a zygote takes place outside the body of the mother, whereas in viviparous animals, the development of zygote takes place inside the mother. Thus, offerings of oviparous survival rate is very less when compared to the viviparous animals. So if you understand the concept, it will be very easy for you to read. Okay, 13th one, give reasons for the following. Some organisms like honeybees are parthenogenetic animals. Why? So male honeybee, that is drones, is developed from the unfertilized egg. Normally you know that honeybees produces two types of eggs. One is fertilized egg, another one is the unfertilized egg. This fertilized eggs develops into queen bee and the worker bee, whereas the unfertilized eggs are develops into drones. So unfertilized eggs are called as a parthenogenetic animals. So males develop from the unfertilized egg, so they are called parthenogenetic animals. And second one, a male honeybee has 16 chromosomes, whereas its female has 32 chromosomes. Why? Because male honeybee develop from the unfertilized egg, so it has only 16 chromosomes, whereas in female it is fertilized egg 2N, so it has 32 chromosomes, develops from fertilized egg. And 14th question, differentiate between the following. Number 1, binary fission in amoeba and multiple fission in plasmodium. So binary fission means it can produce only 2 daughter cells. Bi means 2, it can produce only 2 daughter cells, whereas multiple means many, so they can produce many daughter cells. This binary fission occur in irregular shaped organisms like amoeba. So amoeba is irregular shaped organisms, so binary fission occur in irregular shaped organisms, whereas multiple fission occurs in a regular shaped organisms. There is a definite shape for the organism. And nucleus and cytoplasm divides once in binary fission, but in multiple fission the nucleus and cytoplasm divide multiple times, so that only they can produce different copies of daughter cells. Okay, so these are the difference between binary and multiple. Okay, next one is the budding in yeast and budding in hydra. Bud in yeast is unicellular. So yeast is a unicellular. Bud in yeast is unicellular, whereas bud in hydra is multicellular. Bud originate from a small protuberance on the parent body in yeast. In yeast, the bud develops from a small protuberance. If you see அந்த சப்பாத்தி களி பார்த்தோம்னா அதுக்கு மேலே எப்படி ஒரு சின்ன பூ மாதிரி இருக்கும், அது போல இருக்கும். So budding in hydra arises due to repeated mitotic division. So in hydra ஒரு குறிப்பிட்ட இடத்துல ரிப்பீட்டடா மைட்டோட்டிக் டிவிஷன் நடக்கும்போது அப்போ அந்த செல்ஸ் தான் எவாஜினேட் ஆகி பட்டா உருவாகுது. Okay, and the third point is yeast gets its daughter nuclei and it may or may not separate from the parent body. Yeast gets its daughter nuclei and it may or may not separate, but budding in hydra means these buds are multicellular and they can separate from the parent body. Okay, and third one, regeneration. Difference between the regeneration in lizard and planaria. Regeneration means producing lost parts of the body. Regeneration. So the type of regeneration in lizard is epimorphosis. What is epimorphosis? Replacement of lost body parts occur in lizard. Whereas in planaria, the type of regeneration is a morphallaxis. Where the whole body grows from a small fragment. So this is the difference between regeneration lizard and planarian. In lizard, it is epimorphosis, but in planarian, it is morphallaxis. And the 15th question is, how is juvenile phase different from reproductive phase? In the life cycle of human, there are 3 different phases. One is juvenile phase, reproductive phase, and senescent phase. So what is the difference between juvenile and reproductive? Juvenile phase is a period between birth to just before reproductive phase. At the time of from birth, just before the reproductive phase. For example, if a girl is attaining the reproductive maturity at 12 years. So from birth up to 11 or 12 years, it is a juvenile phase. Whereas reproductive phase is the actual reproductive phase. This juvenile phase is also known as the primary growth phase or vegetative phase, whereas reproductive phase is also known as secondary growth phase or sexual maturity. And last question in this first lesson is, what is the difference between syngamy and fertilization? Syngamy and fertilization both are same. So syngamy and fertilization are synonyms to one another. So it is a process. What is syngamy? Syngamy is a process of fusion of dissimilar gametes, that is the male and the female gamete. So the same is present in fertilization. It is the process of fusion of dissimilar gametes. But in syngamy occurs in invertebrates or lower grade organisms. Invertebrates or lower grade organisms such as porifera, coelenterata, like that. So whereas in fertilization occurs in higher invertebrates. Higher invertebrates means above starfish and then hemichordata, urochordata. So occur in higher invertebrates and all vertebrates. So these are the evaluation questions in the chapter 1. So you please go through all the questions. Next we move on to the second chapter, human reproduction. And 19th question. Mention the difference between spermiogenesis and spermatogenesis. Spermiogenesis and spermatogenesis. There is a difference between these two. Spermatogenesis means it is the formation of a haploid spermatozoa from the germinal cells. Production of sperms from germinal cells is called spermatogenesis, whereas spermiogenesis means the formation of differentiation of spermatozoa. Here differentiation of spermatozoa takes place from the spermatid. In spermatogenesis, it involves the conversion of diploid structures into the haploid structures. The diploid structure, 2n structures are converted into single n structure, whereas spermiogenesis changes the haploid structure into another haploid structure. Haploid is converted into another haploid in spermiogenesis, whereas in spermatogenesis, the diploid is converted into haploid. The next point is the growth and division takes place in spermatogenesis, whereas reconstruction takes place in spermiogenesis. And then no organ is lost in spermatogenesis, whereas Golgi bodies are lost during spermiogenesis. So these are the differences between spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis. There is a slight difference in these two concepts. Next, at what stage of development or the gametes are formed in the newborn male and female? So at what stage of development? So production and maturation of gametes takes place during their maturity stage, that means after puberty. Next one, expand. So it's very important question. Expand. FSH. FSH means follicle stimulating hormone. LH. LH means luteinizing hormone. So you have to read the spellings. And HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. HPL, human placental lactogenic. So you have to expand these things. And the next one, how is polyspermy avoided in humans? Very important 2-mark question. Once fertilization has happened, that means after the entry of the male gamete into the egg, the cortical granules from the cytoplasm of the egg form a barrier called the fertilization membrane around the ovum. This prevents the entry of penetration of other sperms. That's polyspermy is prevented. Once the sperm enters into the egg, only one sperm enters into the egg. So once the sperm enters into the egg, the cortical granules of the ovum forms a barrier that is called as fertilization membrane, which prevents the further entry of other sperms. Next one, what is colostrum? Write its significance. Colostrum means a nutrient-rich fluid produced by the human female immediately after giving birth, and it is loaded with immune growth and tissue repair factors. So this colostrum consists of immune factors, growth factors and tissue repair factors. So what is its significance? It acts as a natural antimicrobial agent to stimulate the infant's immune system. So this colostrum contains IgA antibodies, which produces antimicrobial agent. Next question. Placenta is endocrine tissue justified. So during pregnancy, the placenta acts as a temporary endocrine gland and produces different hormones such as human chorionic gonadotrophin, human chorionic somatotrophin, estrogens and progesterones are produced from this placenta. So endocrine tissue means they can produce the hormones. So this placenta produces these 3 hormones, so they act as a temporary endocrine gland. So if you see the structure of next question, draw the structure, draw a labeled sketch of spermatozoan. So spermatozoa, you have to draw the diagram and you have to mark the parts. So the parts are the head, middle piece and the tail. So the head contains acrosome and nucleus, and it has a short neck, and my middle piece is present in the mitochondria, and the tail is useful for movement. So this is the diagram. You have to draw, practice the diagram in your notebooks and get ready for your test. Next one is what is inhibin? What is inhibin? State its function. Inhibin is a hormone which is secreted by Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells are present inside the seminiferous tubule in male reproductive system. So Sertoli cells secretes inhibin. They are elongated and pyramidal, and it provides nourishment. Nourishment means food to the sperms. Inhibin plays a negative feedback control of sperm production. So it stops the production of sperms. Inhibin. From the name itself, you can understand inhibit means stop. So it acts as a negative feedback control of the sperm production. Next is mention the importance of testis in human. So what is the importance of position of testis? So testis is present inside the scrotal sac of skin that hangs outside the abdominal cavity. It provides a temperature 2 to 3 degree lower than the normal internal body temperature. Normal temperature is 37 degree. So this scrotal sac produces 2 to 3 degree lower than the normal body temperature to provide viable sperms. Thus, scrotum acts as a thermoregulator for spermatogenesis. Question will be asked like this: why scrotum acts as a thermoregulator? அப்படியும் கேட்கலாம், இல்லைனா the importance of position of testis in humans கேட்கலாம். The answer is C. Next one, what is the composition of semen? Semen is a milky white fluid which contains sperms and the seminal plasma. The seminal fluid acts as a transport medium. It provides nutrients, contains some chemicals. It also protects and activates the sperms and also helps in the motility. Motility means movement of the sperms. So semen is nothing but a milky white fluid which contains sperm and seminal plasma. Next is what name the hormones produced from the placenta during pregnancy. So what are the hormones produced from placenta? You know that there are different types of hormones. Human chorionic gonadotrophin, human chorionic somatotrophin, estrogens and progesterones are produced. Next is what is gametogenesis. So gametogenesis means production of formation of gametes. Gametogenesis is the process of formation of gametes. So meiosis plays an important role in the process of gametogenesis. Describe the structure and structure of the human ovum and with a neat labeled diagram. So you see the structure of ovum. You have to draw the diagram, and it also helpful for you to draw in your practicals. So practice drawing the diagrams. So the human ovum is non-cladoic, acellular and microscopic in nature, and the cytoplasm is called as ooplasm. It consists of nucleus. The ovum is surrounded by 3 coverings. So what are the 3 coverings that surrounds the ovum? Zona pellucida, vitelline membrane and corona radiata. So between this vitelline membrane and zona pellucida is a narrow pre-vitelline space. So you have to write this and you have to draw the diagram. And next one, give the schematic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So they are asking only the schematic representation. So you can write this alone. Okay, spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So spermatogonia, how it is formed. From the spermatogonia, how the sperms are formed. From the oogonia, how the ovum is formed. So this is enough. So practice drawing this diagram also. And you have to write or draw all these in your assignment notebook. Next is explain the various stages of a menstrual cycle. Explain the various stages of a menstrual cycle. It's a very important 5-mark question. So menstrual cycle means it occurs in 28 days in the human reproductive life, and there are different phases: menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase and luteal phase. So menstrual phase means from day 1 to 5. Follicular phase means from day 6 to 13, and 14th day is the ovulatory phase, and 15 to next 28 is the luteal phase or the secretory phase. In that you have to write what is corpus albicans. What is corpus albicans? In the absence of fertilization, this corpus luteum degenerates completely and leaves a scar tissue called corpus albicans. No need to write with polycystic ovary syndrome. So you write up to this corpus albicans. So if possible, you can draw the diagram also. Okay. Next question is what is the role of oxytocin and relaxin in pasteurization and lactation? Explain the role of oxytocin and relaxin in pasteurization and lactation. So what is the role of oxytocin? Oxytocin means oxytocin causes let down reflex. So it helps in the contraction of the uterus. So rapid childbirth. So the actual ejection of milk from the alveoli of the mammary gland, it also helps and stimulates the recently emptied uterus to contract, helping it to return into the normal size. And relaxin helps in childbirth by relaxing the pelvic joints and by dilation of the cervix with continued powerful contraction. And list out the various menstrual disorders. So you have to write all the menstrual disorders starting from amenorrhea, starting from amenorrhea to oligomenorrhea. So you have to write only the key points. So refer the notes I already sent to you. And next one is identify the given image and label the parts A, B, C, D. So this is the structure of ovum. You already know that. And next is the following is the illustration of the sequence of ovarian events takes place in the human female. So in this diagram, they have given the sequence of events takes place in the human female. So they are asking some questions based on this diagram. So identify the figure that illustrates the ovulation. So this represents the ovulated stage of oogenesis, that is ovulation. Second one, name the ovarian hormone and the pituitary hormone that have caused the above mentioned events. The ovarian hormone is the progesterone and the pituitary hormone is the FSH and LH, that is follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. Next one, explain the changes occur in the uterus simultaneously in anticipation. So what are the changes that takes place in the uterus? The endometrium, that means the inner lining of the uterus get thickened and the blood supply to the endometrium increases. The endometrium is the inner thick layer of the uterus and it gets thickened and the blood supply of this endometrium increases. And it is also essential for implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. Last question is the differences between C and H. C and H means in this diagram. So C, what is C? C is the secondary follicle and H is the corpus luteum. So write the difference between secondary follicle and the corpus luteum they are asking indirectly. So C is the secondary follicle, H is the corpus luteum. Secondary follicle is surrounded by layers of granulosa cells, whereas corpus luteum is these granulosa cells are absent. In secondary follicles, there are presence of thecal layers, but these thecal layers are absent in corpus luteum. So, well, we have finished all the evaluation part of chapter 1 and 2. So, if you have any doubt, ask me. Thank you.